I'm backing up my truck, I'm gonna hook it up, loading up my boat with all my gear. I've been working hard all week, trying to make ends meet, spending time wishing I was fishing. Whoa, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing. Gather up your gear and come along. Whoa, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing.
This is Terry Wickstrom. Join Karen Cullum, Greg Claudio, and me as we take you to some of our favorite fishing spots from Colorado to Minnesota, the Arctic Circle to Central America and beyond, as we revisit episodes of Mountain States Fishing and Angling Adventures Television on the best of fishing with Terry Wickstrom.
To this week's episode, we're going to probably leave the boat on shore today. We brought it with in case our camera crew needs to use it. But today we're going to be fishing mostly from shore and some small ponds and some canals. With me today is author and fly fisherman extraordinaire, Barry Reynolds. Hi Barry, it's a pleasure to have you with.
It's good to be here, Terry.
And Brad Befus. And Brad's the owner of Front Range Anglers. These gentlemen are on the leading edge of the newest wave of fishing popularity in the country, and that's fly fishing for carp. Now, you may laugh at that, but I called Barry a few weeks ago because I was talking about doing some pike and muskie shows, and I said, Barry, I said, we're trying to show some of the diversity in fishing. I said, you got any ideas for a show? He said, I got a new book coming out, Fly Fishing for Carp. And the more we talked about it, the more excited I got. I mean, I really got, didn't I? I mean, I've been excited about filming this show. People laugh, but the opportunity to go out on a fly rod, catch fish 2 to 5, 10, you said maybe even 20 pounds, I got really excited about it. So tell us a little bit about the book, and then we'll get out and see if we can do some of this.
Well, when I say we, Brad and I, and we have another co-author, John Berryman, that has done the previous 2 books with me, Pike on the Fly and Beyond Trout. For the last few years, Brad and I have been doing this pretty heavily. We don't usually go out and set out just to fly fish for carp, but when we go out and fish and if nothing's happening, we'll come along, and we usually find some carp in these lakes, and when nothing's happening, it gives us something to do. And they're a really strong, exciting fish. They're fun to stock, and you can do it in shallow water, and you usually get the opportunity to sight fish for them, and that's part of the excitement of fishing for them. I think carp have always gotten a bad rap. They're very strong, powerful fish, and they're fairly intelligent, and they're not bottom feeders like most people would expect to the extent that they just go around foraging off the bottom all the time. They'll eat insects, crayfish, minnows, and assorted food items like that, and it's a lot of fun to go out and chase them with a fly rod.
Speaking of what they eat, this would be a great time to talk a little bit about the equipment we're going to use and the flies. We're going to actually try to imitate living things like crayfish and minnows and insects, because they do eat a lot of that. And first of all, let's talk about the fly rod. Fishing for carp, what would an expert fly fisherman use for equipment?
Our rod of choice is either a 5 or 6 weight.
So basically the same thing the average trout fisherman in these areas uses.
The setup's almost identical. The leaders are pretty close. We're using an 8-pound leader because you do have that rare chance of hooking in a 20, 25-pound fish, and if you're using a real fragile tippet, it's not going to stay with you very long when you hook a big fish like that, so we use a little bit heavier tippet. Just any good single action fly reel will do the trick.
Okay, we've got a fly here. What's the name of this fly?
It's the Clouser swimming nymph.
Clouser swimming nymph. And if you can get a good look at that, it's kind of a generic nymph, right? It's made to imitate just different.
Imitate a lot of different aquatic bug forms or crayfish, as we mentioned earlier, damselfly nymphs, even in some cases I think a small bait fish. It's a fly that has a lot of movement and just real nondescript.
And is this a fly you would use like 90% of the time probably for carp? Would you switch a lot, or?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely our primary fly. We've got other specialty type patterns, if you will, things that imitate cottonwood seeds, maybe just a particular pattern for a damselfly adult or a damselfly nymph if the fish are specific to a particular food item.
Okay, well, I'm excited. I think, the idea, before we get out here, I need to tell you that I'm not much of a fly fisherman, so you're going to see these guys. They're going to let me try a little bit, but they promise not to laugh at me. We're going to get out there and catch some fish. Let's go get them. Now when we're up here, we're looking for these fish. We're actually going to sight fish these and stock them, right?
Right.
So what we're doing here is well, explain kind of what we're doing here.
What we're doing is looking for individual fish that are cruising the shoreline or within close enough casting range where we can present a fly to them without spooking them. And but what you'll find is the fish cruise the shorelines, rooting around looking for things to eat. It's a lot like bone fishing in the salt water. Very shallow water. The fish are real spooky, so we have to be real careful on how we approach the fish.
And you mentioned earlier that they're even spookier than trout.
Oh, a lot more spooky.
I don't think people realize how intelligent carp are.
They're very smart fish, and they just don't get a lot of credit as far as that goes. But I think once people discover them and go out and fish for them, they'll.
Okay, so what are we going to proceed from here? Kind of outline our plan, and we'll get to getting some fish.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to walk around this embankment here and come down, and we'll probably stop about halfway up the bank there from the shoreline, and we've got a couple carp milling around just off the edges here, and we'll let Brad throw out there since he's probably the best caster out of the three of us. And
well, I know he's better than me.
And he's better than me, so we're going to put him on the spot.
That's right.
But you can see the fish rooting around out here and looking for things to eat. So we're going to work down here and get him in a good casting position. And
is this typical? You get a vantage point and scout for some fish, and then pick one or two out and go after them. Is that pretty typical?
This is unique right here because we've got this high embankment overlooking this area of water here. Over on the other lake that we'll go over and fish for, what we're looking for then is nervous water.
And you kind of do that from the shoreline. You'll be down the level of the lake and you'll look for that nervous water.
Right, we'll just walk real slow along the shoreline and we'll look. A lot of times what you're going to see is the tail of the fish up out of the water.
Okay.
Because they'll drop their nose to feed on the bottom.
We've got some fish picked out that they've spotted. So why don't you guys lead the way and we'll go down and see if we can get a couple of these.
Okay, sounds good. Got one. There's a
little bitty one.
A baby. This is what you usually catch when you're just flipping around.
Well, but that's not bad. So we really were kind of waiting for the sun to come out. We hadn't seen any fish, and you were just almost just practice casting out in some areas, and you hooked into a little one. So. No.
Yeah, I think we'll go across and check the.
Okay. We'll release that monster you've got pulling on your line there, and we'll go across and get a better angle of visibility. You know, as little as that is, it's bigger than most of the trout people catch around here. So it's really a sight fishing technique, isn't it? I mean, you really have to spot the fish and cast to them, or you try to put the fly, see where they're going?
Try and lead them by about a foot.
About a foot or so?
Let the fly sink down to their level, and then once they're within close enough range, we'll strip it a couple times, and that's usually when they'll eat it.
So they have to have some movement to trigger them a little bit.
Right. They spend a lot more time eating live food than they do dead stuff off the bottom like everybody thinks. Now we lost that fish.
Well, I know I catch them on lures a lot myself, and you know, I mean, they're moving the lure, a jig or even a crankbait I've caught them on. So I take it carp don't become focused feeders like trout then?
They can key in when there's, you know, like the damselfly hatches, when those get real thick, they'll key into the damsels.
Would you switch to a fly that would match that hatch then?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, we need to change vantage points. The sun's going to be out in a little bit, and the sight is so important. We're going to walk around the other side of this pond and kind of position ourselves on this point over there. Why don't you go look at these messages? When we get back, we'll be over on the other side. Now, what weight fly rod are you using?
I'm using a 6 today, but you could fish a 4 weight and be all right.
So really, you don't have to. Anybody who's doing any fly fishing at all probably has equipment they can do this with.
Absolutely. Most of your standard trout gear will work fine. 4, 5, 6 weight. If they got a 7 weight, you know, a 7 weight's fine. The fish are definitely big enough. Here he comes. He ate it.
All right. Good job. Right here. You can do my part again.
He ain't gonna slow down.
You know?
I got 2 minutes on tape.
Okay.
We'll make quick work of him then.
Boy, they pull, don't they?
Slick.
Well, I almost had him. Well, they are slippery, aren't they? I mean, they're hard to handle. I don't want to break your line. There we go. Was that about a 6-pound fish?
Yeah, 5-6 pounds.
Well, I tell you what. I don't know how you could not have fun catching these. Well, you're having fun. I'm the guy that's going in. I'm in the water. This is great, though. Well, guys, I'm breaking down. I'm going to have to go and get one here in just a minute.
Let's get
You got
one.
me convinced.
Yeah, we've got 2 fish, one on this point and one on the inside of it.
But look at
They're
the
working.
forage in the water here.
Yeah, all
It's
the big
incredible.
fish. You see all the tadpoles and
Right,
the
it's
bull-
incredible. This is a little murkier water again here now. We've got this
big bullfrog. Won't cast, that's why I make him do it.
I don't blame you.
Stay out of the weeds.
Let's see, when this show airs, if people say, well, you know, those other guys caught almost all the fish, I'm just going to say, you don't think I'd fish your carp?
You see him? Oh yeah. Well, if you hook him while you're fighting him, we'll get a double going.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pointing right in. I don't know if you can see him. Good cast. He hit it. Okay.
That brush, see that other one laying up there?
Where at?
See him moving up the bank right
Oh yeah.
Put that down here, shoot the shot.
We've got another fish working here, and while Brad is fighting this one, Barry's going to try to get the other one on. Oh, that's a good one, huh? Boy, I tell you what, they just go where they want to go, don't they? Man.
I lost him, Brad. You see him?
Just put that on the bank.
How deep is it here?
Just drop it pretty quick. Why don't we just take him right down?
Yeah. Here's a spot I can get at him. Well, that's a nice one. Yeah. Well, I tell you, to catch fish this size on a fly rod and as consistently as we've been able to do it, this is great.
So many people don't think that they'll eat a fly just willingly.
Oh. Just to get out, I mean, how many people spend days fishing without getting a bite and never fighting a fish, much less a 10-pound fish?
That's right.
And here you're out here, this is great. I think I'll wait. I think he's gonna be a while with him. Boy, they're strong.
A little more juice to it.
They always make one turn when I go to grab them. Boy, they're strong. Don't try this at home. We are professionals. There we go. Boy, I don't know, but that fish has got to be pushing, what, 8, 9 pounds?
Yeah, he's probably 8.
You got a pair. Where's the, you got a pair?
Hinge of his mouth there. There we go.
You know, get out and enjoy this. I mean, this is so much fun. Let's go catch up with Barry. He's probably got another one on by now. All right, there you go. Now don't splash me when I let you go. Let's go see what Barry's doing.
All right.
So what got you started in fly fishing for carp?
Oh,
I mean, were you catching them by accident, or was it?
there was what really first. I mean, I'd always, as a kid,
Yeah.
when I grew up in Texas, all the creeks and things around the house were full of carp.
Right.
And we used to go down with the dough balls and the things like that. And as a kid, you just fished because you wanted to catch fish. You did not care if it was the prettiest fish or
Well, you
the
wanted
most
something along the
elaborate.
line.
You wanted to catch fish. And so that's when I first, you know, like most kids, that's how I started going down to the local pond, catching a few carp. And it kind of grew from there. But my first real experience on catching them with flies intentionally was up on 11 Mile Reservoir when we were pike fishing.
Oh yeah.
And there's lots of carp up there, and they were moving through one day. And the pike fishing wasn't that good. So we slid back into a corner where we'd seen quite a few carp working. And when I'm talking quite a few, we saw several thousand carp.
Oh yeah. Well,
And the tails were going, and they were sucking things off the top, and they were feeding on the damselfly hatch that was going on. So we tied on an olive woolly booger, and we're throwing for these carp. Well, the first fish I caught was about a 7-pound rainbow. You know, it doesn't pay.
Yeah, right.
And but that day was probably the day that got me fly fishing for carp, because I realized that they would take a fly. I'd caught them before on accident, and you know, you mess around here and there and you catch a few every now and then, but that started the wheels going. And
So now you wanted to refine it and make it a technique that you're actually targeting them. And the fact that you were up fishing for another species, how many times have all of us gone on a fishing trip and what we went for just wasn't happening? I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, and sometimes we travel a long way, you could salvage a trip.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times I've gone walleye fishing and ended up crappie fishing? But it's the same thing. You're going after trout or pike, and here's just a way, you know, and even if you're not going fly fishing and you go up into fishing slow, throw your fly rod in, and now you've got another option to salvage a trip. I mean, if you're going to drive a ways to purposely go somewhere, you might as well catch some fish while you're there. And they are fun, I mean, because they do fight. I mean, they fight as good as anything I've ever had on. They're just tremendous.
we'll work the other channel and work it out to the lake, and go out and kind of work our way around the bigger lake.
Okay.
Give you a chance to see what open water carp fishing is about.
Well, we're going to get in some areas where I might even be able to be adequate to fish them, huh?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Well, maybe we should let the people go look at these messages. We're going to walk down and look at another canal and then go over by the lake. When we come back, we'll be in another location. He doesn't want to come over here. Well, that's a nice one. Oh, look at that fish. Oh, man. God. Had any fun lately? Oh, let's get him up. He's going to splash me. There we go. That's close. That's got to be, what, 8 pounds?
Yeah, there's another one about 8.
I tell you what, you've got to get out and enjoy this. I mean, if you want to catch some big fish, just have fun and have the time of your life, try fly fishing for carp, because it's a blast.
You got one?
I got one.
Oh, I suppose you want me to take them off.
Well, if I don't lose him here, he's coming faster than I can get the line in. All right. Oh.
Set this rod
See,
down.
even a novice like me can get one of these. You guys ain't nothing. Boy, do they pull. Jeez. And I don't even think it's a big one.
Not bad.
little one, but would you do the honors for me, sir?
Oh, absolutely.
If I ever get him in here?
Brad's gonna mess around and put one on top of this fish.
Man, I tell you what, I fished bass and walleyes and muskies, and these things pull as good as anything I've ever caught. And this isn't even a big one.
So I let them get done splashing before I...
I'm trying not to do to you what, there we go, did I get you?
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead and pick them up and hand them to me. Well, you okay?
Yep. We tried.
Well, it's my first carp on a fly rod. And man, do they fight. I want your rod right behind you there, but I tell you what, that's pretty, that's something else. You know what? I want to thank you guys for introducing me to this. This has been tremendous. Barry, you're making a convert out of me. It was just I'm so glad that you, when I called you about the show, you said, come out and try this. Just don't laugh, come out and try it. Because this has been just so much fun. And Brad, you guys have taught me something about this. You've introduced me to another one of the many fishing opportunities that exist in the mountain area that everybody should take advantage of. Before we go, when's the book out?
Book will be out in the middle of October.
Middle of October, and where will it be available?
It'll be available in most of the local fly shops and some of the local bookstores, and people will be able to get it across the country.
And a great place to get it, of course, would be at Front Range Anglers in Boulder. And where are you located, Brad?
We're in the Table Mesa Shopping Center.
So you too, get in on the cutting edge of carp fishing with flies. I mean, it's just fun. And join us next week on Mountain States Fishing Adventures for more of the many opportunities to enjoy fishing that exist in the Mountain States region.